Hi guys, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and another week has come and gone, and we're on a Sunday again. On Sundays, I like to look at something a little special, something a little out of the ordinary, or just something that I like a little more than the regular. And today we're looking at something by Schrade. I bought this multi-tool a couple weeks ago. I like multi-tools. I carry multi-tools a fair bit. And I've been looking for a budget multi-tool of good quality that has a certain feature that is hard to find. At least I find it hard to find, especially in a good price range. Of course, every multi-tool has got not every, but all the good multi-tools have got pliers on them. And, a good multi-tool is going to have a blade on it. I like having a nice, good-sized blade. But not that many multi-tools have a decent set of scissors. I've found over the years that scissors are invaluable. They are worth way more than most people give them credit for. Most guys that, the EDC carry kind of guys don't give enough credit to a nice pair of scissors, mostly because you don't have them. If you haven't had a good pair of scissors on your person on a regular basis, you haven't learned how handy they are and how valuable they are to have around. This tool by Schrade gives a set of pliers. It gives really nice full-size, I call it a full-size scissor. It's about 1.5 inches. And then you've got, a flat driver or pry tool here and a regular Phillips there and your blade, and that's it. It's a simple, straightforward multi-tool that has all the main things I'm looking for, and that's why I'm reviewing it today. If you're interested, stick around. This is the ST11 by Schrade. This multi-tool is a budget multi-tool that doesn't behave like a budget multi-tool. Let's talk about the details. We're going to have to keep moving really quick to do this thing. First, let's talk about the knife. Everybody's interested in the knife. Slip joint, 2CR13 is the steel that they use for this whole tool, for the different parts for it. I know it would cost a little bit more, but I would really like if they used 9CR18 MOV or something like that on this, or 8CR13 MOV. I like 9CR18 better, but it is what it is, and it's actually quite good. It's not a knife that I'm going to use that very often. It's just good to... let me get that focusing. It's just good to have the knife available. So even though it is 2CR13 MOV, it's still a workable steel. Clip point, we've got a blade length of about 2 3/4 inch, which is 7.2 centimeters or so. The blade thickness here is 2 millimeters, 0.75 of an inch, not 0.75 an inch. 0.075 of an inch. Just a nice light blade that is very functional, hollow grind, and fairly sharp. Not a problem at all. I'm not going to do a big major cut test or anything with it. It's a reasonable knife of a good length, and it feels good in the hand when you're going to use it. You're holding it like this, closed up. So it's been totally comfortable. It's made well. It's well designed where they put the blade in contrast to the handle so that when you go to use it, it's nice. So we've got a nice blade. You've got a flat driver or a pry tool, whatever you want to call it, right here. So flat screwdriver, do some prying and stuff. Not for super heavy duty work. Again, it is a multi-tool, but you can do some pretty substantial stuff because this C-channel steel here isn't flimsy. It's a good, strong kind of steel. It's pinned into there. So this tool does not come out. You can't, remove it, unscrew it and stuff. On the other side, we have a Phillips tool on a much bigger, substantial piece here. And the Phillips tool is in the same way, although it looks like it's screwed in because of the Torx screws right here that hold the face plates on. But it's put in the same way as the other side is. And it's your size 1 Phillips. I believe it's size 1. It'll work with most Phillips screws if they're not in too terribly tight. And it'll work with the smaller size Phillips screws all day long, no problem. Next, you've got this file. So you've got a square end here, you've got a file there, filing goes one way, and crosshatch filing on this side, and then you've got a cap lifter here, bottle opener, I guess was most people in North America to call it a bottle opener. I gotta readily admit that this file is subpar. It doesn't even work that well to file a fingernail, at least not my sample. Maybe it just isn't, this one didn't come out quite the way somebody wanted it to, but this is the one thing that I would change on this whole tool, but I probably wouldn't anyways because I've never used a file on a multi-tool. So I'm not really disappointed at all, but it doesn't really function that well as a file. It's just not quite up to that level. So if Schrade wants to make a change to this tool, I hope they start right there and improve the little file. What's next? Let's talk about the pliers next. You've got needle nose pliers. They come to a pretty thin point there. So it comes to a pretty small point there. And then you've got the nut grabber right there. Sorry, for lack of a better word. Hope I didn't scare all you guys off. And then you've got your wire cutters down here, basically a full-size wire cutters that's, like 8 millimeters long. It's about 1/4 of an inch length that you have for cutting wire. There's a built-in spring, so it'll, springs back open, which is always useful when you've got multi-tools. If they don't spring open, you always have to tuck a finger behind there and use it that way. And that just drives me bonkers. So they've got the built-in spring. That's good. There's no play in these pliers. Like you try to do the twisting thing with pliers sometimes and you get play in them. These are nice and snug. Like that a lot. They've done just these little things here just to keep everything a little bit light. Oh, well, since I mentioned that, let's talk about the weight of this knife. The tool itself is 6.3 ounces. And with the sheath, it's 7.2 ounces. That's 179 grams, 205 grams. So it's not terribly heavy to carry at all. And since I talked about the pouch very briefly already, let's talk some more about this pouch. I like this pouch an awful lot. You get a lot of these ballistic nylon pouches for multi-tools. The big benefit with this one is that this multi-tool is nice and thin. So even when it's in the pouch, it's not even an inch thick here. So 0.9 of an inch, which is 2.3 centimeters, a little over an inch right here. But it's a nice, small, thin carry that doesn't take up an awful lot of space, and I really like that a lot. The sheath is made well, nice strong snap, good interior, nice heavy duty, good choice in materials, almost 2 inches worth for a belt. You might be able to fit it onto a 2-inch belt if it's not too thick, but 1.5-inch belts are going to get in here no problem at all, and it'll just hang there nicely. Good sheath, I like it. One last thing to talk about. We're almost there, and this is the reason I bought this knife, or this multi-tool, I should say. Right here. I bought this multi-tool because it has very close to full-size scissors. People who don't use scissors on a regular basis don't know how useful they really, really are. They are tremendously useful for all types of things. A scissor isn't just useful for cutting paper, and it is useful for cutting paper, But you and I both know that we can cut paper with a knife, no problem at all day long. But scissors are good for so many more tasks, and very often when you want to cut, around things, sometimes you want to cut through things. This review would be just a whole bunch too long if I demonstrated, a dozen different ways that a scissor's better. But, for example, my chest is just on the other side of this camera, as you can tell. If you're cutting through a zip tie and you're putting a lot of force, because, it's a pretty strong nylon usually, and often they're thicker and heavier than this. It's easy enough to slip, and then, it's just not a really good idea. But a scissor, you just stick it underneath there, and it's gone. And no effort at all, no danger. It's just so much easier and safer for a number of tasks if you've got a scissor handy. Knives are great. Scissors are also great. They just have complementary roles, and it's good to have both. And these scissors have these nice little angle tips, so they let you get into spots, and you just cut the thing off, and you're good to go. Much lower risk factor for hurting yourself in so many scenarios. I can't tell you how many different ways I have hurt myself in the past because I didn't have scissors. So you can cut paracord, no problem. You can cut all kinds of stuff with this thing. You can cut through heavier plastic. I've got some heavy plastic. Yes, I do. Oh, did she throw it in the garbage? I had this nice big piece of plastic that I was using for cut tests, and I guess my wife thought it was garbage and she threw it out on me. And I was going to demonstrate cutting through something the thickness like of a credit card, and it would just fly through it. On my tests, it worked no problem. I don't really need to just grab a whole bunch of different materials and show you how well I can cut them. But, some people just really want to see demonstrations of everything. And yeah, these scissors, they will just cut all day long. They are good scissors. They held like this. They've got a spring in there. I've got no idea how they fit a spring in there, because you see this piece of steel from this scissor and this piece of steel from this one, and there's nothing in between, and yet there's a spring in there somehow. Go figure. When you're finished using it, you just fold it over and put it away, and it's gone. You go to Schrade's website and you find out the MSRP on this thing is $50, $49.88. You can find it all day long in the low 30s, both in Canada and in the United States. Go to Amazon. I've got links in the description. You can get this thing for about $31 US or $35 in Canada. This is one of the very few times that you're going to get a better deal buying in Canada if you're a Canadian, because $35 Canadian is more like $28 US. So it pays to be a Canadian today, guys. So here's this multi-tool. They call them tough tools, the ST11. Check out Schrade's tough tools, especially if you're in the market for a budget tough tool that is reasonably well made, certainly worth the amount that they're charging for it. It also comes with a pocket clip, I should say, that screws in right there. I've taken the pocket clip off because I'm just never going to carry this thing with a pocket clip. I'll show you a picture with the pocket clip on it. I already lost the pocket clip, unfortunately. Silly me. But with the pocket clip off, it just goes in and out of the pouch just a little bit more easily than it did before. And it's very easy to take in and out of the pouch when it's on your hip. So this tool, the ST11, is a tool that I recommend. So hopefully I didn't miss anything. If you like this video, please click on like, even if you don't like the particular tool or if you're not interested in buying it. If you know somebody who's looking for a multi-tool with scissors especially, suggest to them that they might want to check out the ST11 by Schrade. You can share, clicking on the share button on this video. If you're not yet a subscriber, please subscribe. And if you are, I thank you so much for being a subscriber. Leave some comments or some questions. I really like responding to those. And always remember to cut towards your chum and not your thumb.